Hello everyone and welcome to this special episode of our photography review show. It is Easter Monday and we are coming back to you with few photography reviews. We only have 4 photos and that's the reason why this show is pre-recorded, as it's going to be a short one, making sure that I still do the reviews of your photos. However, again, moving on and focusing on next week, where I hope that more people will be back for another episode. Anyway, if you've never been here before, my name is Jakub. I'm a professional photographer based in West Sussex, England, and I do this live show every week on Monday at 6 p.m. of UK time. Basically, I take your photos and I look at their technical part, where I look at the camera settings, I look at the details, exposure, and much more. Then we turn the page and look at the artistic part of the image. We look at the composition and we look at the main subject, the whole story, and just look at the overall feel of the photo. And finally, at the end, if I feel that there is a need for it, or maybe there's something that I could give you a tip for, we take the image and try to edit it a little bit here in Luminar Neo. Most of the things we do here can be done in many other applications, so I hope that is helpful too. So we look at your images, do the review, and hopefully help you to make sure that you keep moving your photography forward. Anyway, if you would like to join us in the future, it's really simple. All you need to do is to join our membership, and you can do that by going to our website cleverphotographer.com/membership. There, for very little fee, you can join our membership and start to get a monthly bundle full of photography assets. This month, for example, is a spring photography. Last month was wedding photography, and so on. And not only that, you will also get access to Photography Review Show and our Clever Photographer Academy Facebook group. So that is all out of the way. You know what we're gonna be doing and how to join us for our next time. So let's jump into Luminar Neo and start by reviewing your photos. So as you can see, I'm here in the catalog module and I have 2 photographers, Caroline and Zdeněk. Caroline, let's start by looking at your images and their details. First of all, this very lovely capture, really nice portrait with a beautiful background bokeh, with a beautiful light, very warm feel, and just very nice image. Sometimes when you look at a picture, your first impression is the most important. And when I look at the image, it really makes me very happy. It's very nice. It has a lovely warmth, lovely pastel colors, and I think it works very well. So looking at the camera details, we are looking at Canon 5D Mark IV with the lens 70 to 200 millimeters. From the camera settings, ISO 100, 200 millimeters, f2.8 and 1/250th of a second. Looking at the image, there is a lots of lovely details with the really nice depth. Obviously, the face together with part of the violin is in focus. I think that works very well. Really strong background bokeh, which I think works very well for this picture too. Just making the separation, a lovely depth, and just overall feel. So as an artistic decision to create it like this, I think that works very well. Looking at it, there are maybe parts which are a little bit bright for me, maybe just creating really strong contrast here. I just wish maybe the hand wouldn't be as bright as the rest of the image. I'm guessing maybe the sun really hit there, but rest of it as a technical part I think goes really well. I think the noise is very good too. The sharpness again is well done. So in overall, great job. Moving to the artistic part. So I think it works really well, this picture. I really like the crop here and the framing, making sure that we get the full hands in the head as well as the violin. There is fair amount of space around the subject with more space in the active zone here. I think that all really adds to the overall feel of the image, and I think it works great. Yes, the light creates this kind of shadow, but again, as a storytelling goes, I think it works really well. So really, in overall, it's a beautiful picture. I really like it. My only downfall, if I would have to pick one, would be these brighter areas, these highlights here, which I think are a little bit too small compared to the rest of the image. So Caroline, great picture here. Moving on the second one, which is actually great panorama. And when I was looking at it, I was thinking myself, if the blue was
your artistic decision or if maybe something went wrong when you were uploading the file, because it's really blue, and looking at it, actually it's a great capture. I really like this panorama view, the depth with the hills as well as the house with the trees. I think all of that looks and works very well. However, I think the blue is a little bit strong for me. But still, starting from the technical part, which is again a little tricky to judge because we don't see many of the details here. But just looking at the numbers, it's a Canon, again, 5D Mark IV, 70 to 200 millimeters with ISO 100, 135 millimeters, f11, 1/250th of a second. When the camera setting goes, I think everything is right here. Once again, sticking to ISO 100, 135 millimeters. I'm assuming it's a panorama, so you maybe put multiple pictures together. However, nicely zoom in, giving you this lovely view. F11 is, as good as it goes, give you really kind of good depth and good level of details all the way through. And 1/250th of a second following the light. I think the exposure is nicely done here too. So, continue on that note. Again, looking at it, it's a bit difficult to judge noise or sharpness because first the image is a little bit on a smaller side. For panorama to be 186 kilobyte is really small. And even when I zoom in, it's a bit difficult to judge the details. So we're gonna move on the artistic part, but I think the panorama is beautiful. Again, I really love this depth created with these hills. Also this little chapel with the trees. It almost looks like Tuscany, but again in the blue it's a bit difficult to say what it is. But in overall, with a little bit of a fog, it has a lovely atmosphere. When it comes to editing it, yes, I would personally not go for the blue, but as an artistic decision, there's nothing wrong with that. And I always like to see when people take the initiative and try to do something different with their pictures. However, still, I would probably adjust the blue just so it's not so strong, because when I look at it, after a few minutes, my eyes actually start to hurt. So maybe what I would do, I would go into the color tool and the HSL panel, which you can find. HSL panel you can find with all the different photo editing application. Then I would go into the saturation and just bring the blue down a little bit. What I would be looking for is more a pastel blue, which I think is much more gentle for the eyes. I don't know if you remember the old Windows computers, they used to have a blue background and it used to be so strong that after some time looking at it, it would really hurt. And I used to kind of adjust the blue to the pastel colors and it's just a little easier to look at. So maybe just down with the saturation. It is still blue, but it's not as strong. And that's about it. I mean, not much else I can do on this one. The first one is lovely. So both of them really well done. Obviously, with the portrait, if you would want to be adventurous, if you have a Luminar Neo, you could try some of the portrait tools here. For example, in a face, you could increase a little bit of the face light, you could smooth the skin, you could remove some of the highlights here with the shine removal. That also helps just to kind of even the skin altogether. Just kind of different things you could maybe try. Anyway, Caroline, thank you so much for sharing the images with you. Happy Easter Monday. I hope you're gonna have a lovely day and I hope to see more images from you next week. Which brings us nicely to Zdeněk. Zdeněk, 2 images from you. Thank you very much for sending them over. I hope you're having a great day. Let's jump straight into it and start by looking at them. So we have this picture of the road with the flowers and rocks and sky. With the camera, we are looking at Canon 600D with lens 55 to 250 millimeters. Camera settings, ISO 100, 55 millimeters, f8, 1/400th of a second. When it goes to camera settings, ISO 100, spot on there, 55 millimeters, giving you a really nice natural result. And the f8, really getting the most out of your camera. The f8, f7.1, always a great choice if you can do that. 1/400th of a second, making sure that the highlights are not too strong and the exposure is good. The first thing I'm looking at it is just that it's really harsh light. This is a scene when I look at it and it reminds me, you know, when you go out and the sun is so strong that your eyes almost hurt. Like, it's difficult to look around. You get the kind of feeling that you would like to have a sunglasses. That's exactly how this image makes me feel. It really seems very, very strong. And although I love the composition, I think the leading lines, the flowers, and the crop with the 1/3 of the sky all works very well here. I just think that maybe I wish it would be a little bit more diffuse. Maybe that the sun would be just a little more diffused. However, coming back to the technical part, the level of details is great. I love the texture. I think that all works very well. There's some texture in the sky. Maybe there is a little bit of a blue leaking through the plants, but altogether, technically, it's well done. It's just the amount of light coming in and the sun, I think it's a little bit strong. Which brings us to the artistic part. Once again, I really like it. I think the leading line works very well. The flowers creating really nice contrast. I think the crop is very good. Although I think your picture is tilting a little bit. So if we bring it into edit module, quickly jump into the crop tool, we can just turn it around a little bit. Just to make sure that we are straight. Let's have a look. Maybe something like this. Or maybe even more. Let's have a look. Yeah, maybe something like this would be better. Altogether, if you would try, I'm looking at it just thinking about 16:9 here and crop it a little bit more this way. Let's have a look. If we would get something like this, I think that works nicely too. So just different thing to try. However, making sure that the horizon is level. Now, moving on, next thing which I don't think is very natural is the shade of the sky. You have these really strong saturated pastel colors, and then you have this washed out blue sky. I think the sky should have a different color in it. So I would go into the color, again, HSL, this time go into the hue, and under the blue, I would just make it more blue-like. So maybe just something like this. Let's have a look. Before, which is almost like a sea blue-green, to blue, which I think is a little bit more natural here. Now you're getting a little bit of a glow here, which is maybe caused by the sky replacement. However, still, I think it's working really good. You can also make sure that you go into the cyan and here make it also a little bit more blue there. If you would want, you could also make the sky a little bit darker by going into luminance and this time going into the blue and just bring it down a little bit. Or you could go into your Enhance AI and use the Sky Enhancer here. However, I think we good for now. So this is what I would do. I would crop it, and to make it more natural, I would adjust the hue of the sky. After that, I think we need to navigate the eyes of the viewer because the overall image is lovely. However, it's very flat. It doesn't really have a main point to look at. In our case, I think the main point is the road. So the easiest way to do this is to jump into the vignette, bring down the amount, close it down, and then choose the subject and focus it on the road. Equally, what I would like to create the sense of going, the sense of movement on the road. And to do this, I usually go into the develop, bring down the exposure, maybe not that strong, maybe minus 0.5. And then in masking, use the linear gradient and just kind of close it from the bottom up. And then I can kind of move it around, I think somewhere around here. And when I go back, you will see that it creates kind of darker bottom. It's not too strong. I can make it as strong as I want, but I think somewhere around like this. And then the top is bright, bottom is dark, and it creates sense of movement. So that's about this. Yes, you could do some dodge and burn. However, I'm sure you know how to do that. So in overall, this is where I would go. So from here to here, just kind of adjusting the horizon, maybe making stronger impact with the crop, matching the sky with the rest of the image, and then basically navigating the viewer's eyes, making sure that we walk them through the story of the image. And that brings us nicely to the picture number 2. Again, let's have a look at it. Canon 600D with the 55 to 250 millimeters, ISO 100, 131 millimeters, f8, 1/500 of a second. Now, looking at the image, the camera settings are quite good. I mean, there's nothing really I would do differently. Obviously, you know, tight zoom in with the nice and low ISO. f8, it creates kind of softer background, but it's quite decent. 1/500 of a second, I think, is good as well, although again, it's a little bit strong. But I think the first thing that strikes me is that I can't really see where the sharpness
is. Maybe it's the top of the flower, maybe that's where it's really sharp, but when I look at the middle, I think it's a little bit soft, Zdeněk. So what I would be hoping for is to find a f-stop where at least all the yellow parts are in focus. I think it's a little bit this kind of depth of field where there is lots of softness is a little bit overused, and I think when you have a main subject like the flower, I would probably expect the flower to be in focus. So next time play around a little bit more with the f-stop to make sure that you have a focus all the way from the top to the bottom of the flower. That would be my main thing. Yes, the sun is a little bit stronger, you can see the hard shadows and you can see how bright is it again, but I think my main thing here would be the focus and the sharpness, making sure really that the main subject is in it. When it comes to composition, I think it's quite nice. The two flowers obviously creating a really nice color, lots of texture with the beautiful details here. The background is decent. Yeah, it's a kind of mixture of really strong bokeh to some level of details with the plants here. Just something to look at, and maybe next time trying to get I don't know how could you really make it so you make even bigger separation of the flower with the background. However, still really nicely done. Two beautiful flowers. And again, I think the biggest thing with these flowers for me is the focus. That's, I think, the main thing you need to focus on. When it comes to editing, I would in overall bring down the saturation a little bit. I think it's just tiny bit strong. So maybe just somewhere around -7. If you would want, you could even bring it to -10 and just push it a little bit with vibrance. Again, I think vignette goes a long way even on an image like this. It really closes the image and bring even more focus on the center. You could do some dodge and burn here. So if I do this, lighten with hard softness, but smaller strength, and just maybe paint around the flowers. Again, that's a bit too strong, but somewhere around here. And here, definitely, there you have it, and do something like this. Let's have a look. Before and after, just a few things, just to make it a little bit more natural, bring more focus on the main subject, and end it there. Either way, Zdeněk, thank you very much for sharing your images. I hope this was helpful. I hope you're going to have a great rest of your Easter Monday. Take care, stay safe, and send us more images for next week. And the same goes for all of you folks. If you want to join us for the next episode of Photography Review Show, make sure that you jump to our website, cleverphotographer.com/membership. Sign up there, get your monthly bundles with over 200 assets each month, and also join our Photography Review Show and Clever Photographer Academy on Facebook. We can't wait to meet you, see your images, and be with us. Okay, folks, have a great rest of your Easter Monday. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you again next week on Monday at 6 p.m. UK time.